Hello and welcome to Gardening with Ben, the award-winning gardening podcast as voted for by the Grow Your Own magazine and by my followers and by my listeners. I hope that you have all clicked that subscribe button. If you're new to the podcast channel, please do click the subscribe button and then you get notified of all the new podcasts that get launched. And if you're not following me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok, make sure you look for Gardening with Ben and follow me on all my social medias. So sit back, relax, grab a brew and let's enjoy today's gardening podcast with Ben. Hello and welcome back to Gardening and Allotment Tips podcast hosted by Gardening with Ben. I hope that you're all well and thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you've not listened to my main podcast channel, make sure you see that in the link in the description and you can check out my other podcast channel there. And yeah, it's been a while since we've done a podcast on this channel, and mainly because I've been ill for the last week, but before then, no excuse for real, I should have done one. But yeah, I've not been very well. Had symptoms of coronavirus. Whether it was, I don't know. I did do a test and it was negative, but hopefully we're fine now and we're getting better. So now comes the time for the beautiful weather to appear, and it's going to be a heat wave coming, and it's going to stay hot and warm for quite a while now. So today's podcast is going to be talking about tips on watering in this weather, because you need to be careful when you're watering plants in this weather, because if you water the plants when it's sunny or hot, you can risk scorching them. And the reason for this is because obviously if you water the plants, the sun will shine on the water, on the leaves, and it will scorch the leaves, and you can end up killing your plants basically and losing your crops, and that's something that you don't want to do, especially like in your greenhouse or in your polytunnel, where it's going to be even hotter as well, and the sun will be reflecting through the glass onto the droplets on the leaves, and yeah, it will burn them and scorch them, and you don't want to lose all that hard work and effort that you've put into your allotment, do you? So when is the best time to water? Now, I always say the morning is the best time to water, because if you water at night, that's when the slugs like to come out, and if the ground's damp and wet, that will encourage the slugs to come and eat all your produce. So when is the other time best to water? Well, the best time to water is early in the morning, and because it's starting to get warm early in the morning, you will need to wake up pretty early, and I'm saying between 5 and possibly 7 o'clock in the morning and be watering the plot. Yes, that may sound early, but once you've done it and got it out of the way with, then you can just enjoy the garden for the rest of the day. You give it a really good soaking at that time in the morning. Yes, it'll look like it's dried out on top within a couple of hours, but underneath it will be wet and moist for the rest of the day, and you won't need to water it again until the next morning. And yeah, if you've got tubs and stuff and they have dried out, you can give them a bit of a watering at night if you want to, but just be careful, like I say, with the sluggies. They could come and eat all your produce and crops. And another thing is, like, obviously you can keep your greenhouses and polytunnels cooler and humid by, they say, if you put either like water butts in your polytunnels or in your greenhouses with the lids off, they will evaporate the water and they will let off the water droplets onto the plants, and the plants will still drink that humidity of the water from the water butts, and yeah, basically you're still giving them drink with the water butt lids off. And if you've not got a water butt, just use buckets of water, fill buckets of water up, put them in your polytunnel, put them in your greenhouse, and let it just evaporate, and that will keep your plants healthy and it'll stop them going funny and drying out as fast because there's water in the air. And that's one good tip that I do. And another thing what I do is early in the morning, if I've got the hose pipe out, I will literally sodden the whole of the polytunnel. I will just spray water all over the walls, all over the floor, everywhere, just to cool it all down. And that works wonders. I've done that for years, and it does cool it down a lot in the polytunnel. And obviously, yes, it will all evaporate eventually, but it does cool down the polytunnel. And the same can go for a greenhouse. You can give that a good soaking, spray all the windows, spray it all down, but obviously not in the full heat. Make sure you do it when it's cool, because if not, you will burn all them plants and you could end up losing your crops, and we wouldn't want that. So make sure you water when it's not hot. And another thing is, obviously, try and not use a hose pipe when watering. Make sure you're using like a watering can. I know it'll take longer, but you can just water around the plants rather than everywhere, because if you're watering everywhere, then all the weeds will appear everywhere. Whereas if you water around the plants, it will only feed the plants. It won't create all the weeds what grow in between. That's a little tip what I've learned myself. I used to get the hose pipe out and just spray everywhere and water everywhere, and that encourages the weeds to grow everywhere. Whereas if you just water around the plants, then you're just gonna get weeds near the plants, to be honest, but you won't get as many. You'll only get be watering what's needed rather than the whole beds and soaking everywhere. So that is my tips on what to do, on how to water during a heat wave, and the best times to water, basically. So if you've enjoyed this podcast, make sure you click that subscribe button. Make sure you give all my other podcasts a listen to. Check out my other channel in the description. And yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed it. Until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcasts. Thank you for listening to today's Gardening with Ben's podcast. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do click that subscribe button, and feel free to share it as well on your Instagram stories. All you have to do if you're listening on Spotify is click the share button, and you can share it straight to your Instagram story for all your followers to listen to, and help build my listeners up as well and get more people listening to it. Feel free to check out all my social medias: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. Go check it out. Check out my dancing. Gardening with Ben. And check out the link as well in the description of this podcast, where you can check out my gardening t-shirt shop, where I sell funny t-shirts with all different funny logos and designs on. And feel free to support me by purchasing one, and all the money obviously goes back into my allotment, where I can share more gardening tips with you all. So until next time, remember, keep smiling, keep gardening, and keep listening to Gardening with Ben's podcasts.